Hello, my name is Greg Richardson. I'm here to tell you a story about what happened when my ancestors, the Indians of the land we now call North Carolina, came into contact with European explorers, settlers, and traders. They traded goods, like the items you see here. They also traded germs, which led to devastating epidemics of new diseases among the Indians. In one sense, these goods can be seen as symbols of contact between very different cultures. But contact between Indians and Europeans changed both people forever. Centuries before Europeans landed on our shores, trade had been a way of life for the Indians of North Carolina. They participated in a well-established trade network that reached into the interior of the continent. Archaeologists have found copper from the Great Lakes region right here in North Carolina. Mica from here has turned up in Ohio. Trade, just as it is today, was a way to acquire things from other places that could make life better. So, when the European explorers arrived, the Indians naturally thought of them as potential trading partners. Both sides had their reasons for trading. The Indians could see the obvious advantage of a metal knife over one made of stone. And it took a lot less work to make clothing out of European fabric than out of deerskin. But what were the Europeans interested in? The first European explorers to arrive here were Spanish, Hernando de Soto and later Juan Pardo. Their primary interest was gold and also finding routes to the west to expand the Spanish Empire. When English colonists began to arrive in the 1600s, they too were interested in financial gain and soon recognized the profit potential of the pelts and hides that Indians could supply. Furs used for clothing and hats were in high demand in England, so animal pelts brought high prices. Trade between North Carolina's Indians and the Europeans seemed to benefit both groups. It provided a vital source of raw materials for the colonists, and for the Indians, items that could make their daily lives easier. But contact with the Europeans also brought disaster to the Indians. European diseases, previously unknown to Indians and for which they had no immunity, hit them hard. Repeated epidemics swept throughout villages and from tribe to tribe, like tornadoes, leaving some communities barely touched, but wiping out up to 90% of others. Disease took a massive toll in Indian lives, and that had a huge and rapid impact on Indian culture. But other cultural changes happened more slowly as Indians adapted European goods to their own uses. For example, new notions of status evolved among the Indians. European goods like woven cloth, metal jewelry, and decorations came to be highly valued. Firearms changed the way Indians hunted, but also altered their relationships with Europeans and with each other. As the Indians incorporated European goods into their daily lives and into their social relationships, they gradually became more and more dependent on trade with the Europeans. At the same time, demand for the pelts and hides the Indians supplied went into decline and weakened the Indians' power in these trading relationships. Competition over trade encouraged intertribal warfare and undermined the Indians' ability to resist white settlement. Eventually, tribes found themselves struggling for survival. In the end, land was the only thing they had left that Europeans wanted. And over time, the Indians lost their original land to colonial expansion. By the mid-1800s, most Indians who had not left the state by choice or by force had retreated into remote communities, different tribes merging for strength of numbers. Contact with Europeans brought new prosperity to Indians, but also ended up bringing disease and great hardship. But Indians continued to change and adapt, survive, and eventually even to thrive. Over time, North Carolina became a kind of gathering place for many tribes, even from neighboring states. And today, North Carolina has the largest Indian population east of the Mississippi River, a population that is a vital part of North Carolina's cultural landscape, workforce, and leadership.